Well, hi guys, welcome, and who dat? I'm Joe. Thanks for tuning in to Rosenfield 10, where I cover our beloved Bless You Boys in black and gold, the New Orleans Saints. If you are a Who Dat fan and you love the Saints as much as I do, subscribe to this channel. I talk about the Saints, and we can keep it in the Who Dat family, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking, and you let me know in the comments what you're thinking. And today, let's talk about Kellen Moore and the identity of the Saints. Yeah, we don't seem to have an identity, and it's a sticking point right now amongst the Saints content providers. So let's dive deep, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Kellen Moore is the kind of coach that seems like everywhere he goes, he inherits a team and then he figures out an offense that would work with the player personnel that he has. So a a good example, most recent example last year in Philadelphia, he becomes the OC. He's trying to do a mix of run and pass. He's trying out different things. And then I think about the fourth game or fifth game last year, he realized, well, yeah, Jalen Hurts isn't going to win me games throwing the ball 30 or 40 times. I've got Saquon Barkley. I've got a good offensive line. Let's just lean heavy into the run, quarterback option plays, stuff like that. Next thing you know, Philadelphia's in the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl. So Kellen Moore not only designs offensive schemes to fit his personnel, he showed he could change in the middle of a season, adapt to what he has, and then put out a pretty good product. So he's been our coach all year long, and inherited he's inherited his pieces, and he's like, ooh, oh well, let's try a little bit of this, let's try a little bit of that. This is what it feels like. Well, this ain't working. Let's switch it up. Well, this ain't working. Let's switch this up. He's also brought in a bunch of players he wanted. He's also moved away from some players. He's made a lot of roster moves since inheriting this team to try to fashion it more towards what he and Brandon Staley on defense want to do and what Kellen Moore wants to do on offense. And it just seems like nothing's working out. You get to the, what is it, 12th week of the year right now. We just lost a game to Atlanta. And yeah, our offense looked pretty pathetic. And I guess it's to be expected. You got rid of your second wide receiver. You got rid of your third wide receiver. A bunch of the players you went out and acquired at wide receiver can't even play. Trey Palmer, Jalen Polk. So it seems like he's deleting talent off the team. Really hard to fashion an offense when your roster's in flux. And, it's your choice. You guys are doing this as a franchise. I'm pretty sure. Now, this is how I feel. I'm pretty sure Kellen Moore realizes it's going to take a couple of years before he has a team that he can actually draw up an offense for. And he's trying different things right now. I'm hoping in a way that this is what's going on. That he sees, well, we're weak here. Let's make some moves. Well, that didn't get any better. But you're talking about the 12th, 13th week of the season. And you're going up against your rival and you're putting Taysom Hill out there in the red zone and taking the ball out of Tyler Shuck's hands. So you're not seeing what you have in Tyler Shuck in the red zone. Did Kellen Moore figure this would be the best way to score, this team to score after all of the red zone woes we've had all year long? This is the best he can come up with. Let's just put Taysom Hill in there and see what happens. I mean, he can't think that this is, I don't believe he thinks that's the offense he wants to run. He's like, well, we've got Taysom Hill. Let's see what we can do. And as a fan, I'm watching this Atlanta game and we're failing miserably in the red zone. Nothing's working. But the one thing we didn't do is have Tyler Shuck throw it a lot in the red zone. We took Tyler Shuck out for like half the red zone attempts, and the other half we were messing around with other stuff. I mean, we weren't lining up in a pro formation and trying to just run the ball with the running back. We're doing other things. We're putting the quarterback in shotgun and thinking that's going to be an effective running game. How when your team suffers with contact behind the line of scrimmage, yards before contact, when the Saints are averaging less than a yard before contact, it seems kind of dumb to me to put the quarterback in shotgun, which is what, 5, 6, 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and then pretend like you're going to run or actually run from that position. If you're getting tackled before you ever cross the line of scrimmage, why would you give your running back 5 to 7 more yards to gain before he ever gets to the line of scrimmage? So those are the kind of things I'm thinking. Put the quarterback under center. Let's operate a regular pro offense for once. It seemed like when we put the quarterback under center and utilized play action, the quarterbacks were effective. So this question was asked by Nick Underhill in one of the last press conferences Kellen Moore had. Nick Underhill asked him basically, if we're putting the quarterback under center and the play action's working, why aren't we doing more of that? And Kellen Moore's answer was basically, well, it's down in distance and, where you're at on the field, yada, yada, yada. But the one thing he said that stuck out with me was you have to take protection issues into account. Protection issues. And I've been saying this since we got Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore wants to draft offensive linemen for this team, and he wants good offensive linemen. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to establish an identity. That's my bottom line. You start the season with Spencer Rattler at quarterback. The reason I think he does this is because Rattler at the time showed a better talent of pocket awareness, of escapability. Rattler at that point had shown he was probably better under pressure than Shuck. And, Rattler had some pro games under his belt and a couple of years of experience. So, you know, let's see what he can do. And I think Shuck probably got a lot better at pocket awareness, recognition, got better with the playbook, all that stuff, and eventually we're not winning games with Rattler at quarterback. Let's go ahead and roll out Shuck and see what he can do. And oops, by the way, our offensive line is in the worst shape it's been all year. So good luck, Shuck, with that. And it all seems to be, a big mess right now. The one thing is that offensive line. Why do you start Spencer Rattler? He can get out of pressure. Why are you putting him in shotgun every play? Why are we trying to run the ball from a pistol formation or from a shotgun formation? Why do the Saints average so little yards before contact? Because they're having to run 5, 6 yards before they ever get to the line of scrimmage. But you have to protect the quarterback. Then you get Shuck out there. We saw a little bit of under center with Rattler, and it was okay. And we put Shuck under center a little bit, and it worked. But we're not doing that. When Kellen Moore said you have to consider protection issues, that says everything you need to know. And I'm connecting the dots because it's all making sense to me. He, in his opening press conference as our new head coach, he talked about how this franchise prioritizes the trenches, how we are, as a franchise, are willing to spend top draft capital in the trenches. That excited him. And what he's saying is we need to build the trenches. What he's saying is we're not going to have a team unless we have an offensive line. And Saints fans are sick and tired of drafting offensive linemen, especially when they don't work. Well, we've had a couple of them that missed. Cesar Ruiz, who is, remind you, still a starter for this team, is a miss. But yet, he's our starting right guard and has been since the day we drafted him. Where else did we miss? Trevor Penning. He's long gone, and the Chargers are probably kicking themselves for spending a future sixth-round pick on that dude because they realize he's a bust. Yeah, that guy's not going to develop there. I promise you. He'll be a free agent next year, and whoever pays him and signs him is not going to be happy. So Trevor Penning was a huge bust. Cesar Ruiz at least is playing games. Every now and then he looks okay, but he's still a bust too. And Northern, I know you're going to come at me about talking about Cesar Ruiz. You can just stop, okay? I don't care that he's from the North. I don't care that he played center half a decade ago in college. He's had more games as a professional athlete at right guard than he ever did in college as a center. So this transition, well, he was a center, but now he's a guard. Well, he never did make it as a guard. We're not going to put him at center. So, yeah, it is what it is. Cesar Ruiz is a bust at guard, whether he was a good center or not, and whether he's from the North or not. He's a bad right guard. It's not good enough. And our left guard, Dylan Reduns, isn't very good either. That's definitely not your answer at guard. A lot of Saints content providers are saying, yeah, you get a couple of good players in the middle, maybe a decent backup center, and then a different starting right guard, and then you'd be okay with Reduns. That's like saying go ahead and replace Reduns, and we'll be okay with Cesar Ruiz. That would be the same thing. I don't know who's the better player between Ruiz and Reduns. I don't know. I know that we need a better number three offensive tackle because Awesome Richards isn't doing it. This guy's been playing, and kudos, you can play both sides of the line, but he has struggled at right tackle. We not only need two starting guards, we need a backup tackle, and we need a good backup center. How about Luke Fortner? He's doing okay. Those high snaps from the shotgun. Whew, one goes flying over Taysom Hill's head, and yeah, couple more plays like that, and yeah, everybody's going to be calling for a different backup center. I don't know if Will Clapp's that guy, if we resign him next year or not. I don't know. But I'm telling you right now, in my opinion, in order for the Saints to identify an identity, it's got to start with the line. And Kellen Moore knows that. And I think the reason that's the main reason why he can't figure it out right now, because he knows we're weak up front on the offense and the defense, but on the offense especially for Kellen Moore. How do we establish an identity for this team when you can't run behind that line and you can't pass behind that line? He wants to do shotgun to protect the quarterback. It's not working. The running game's not going to work that way. Put the quarterback under center, hand the ball off a few times. The running game works a little better because at least they're getting some yards before contact when you line up under center. But you do play action, and it's scary because if anyone that we're playing against on the defensive line figures out that it's a play action and they're coming for the quarterback's going to be in trouble. Oh, and then he's only a couple of yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he's going to get smacked in the face right away instead of in 2 seconds. No, I think the play action slows down the rush just enough where you can turn your head around and get a play out. I think Kellen Moore's problem is that his offensive line is so bad he's afraid to do what I think would work for this team. Put the quarterback under center and run the ball. And if you can't because of this offensive line, yeah, you've got problems. But you're not going to run the ball from the shotgun either. You're not going to run the ball from the pistol. You're not going to run inside between the tackle runs with Alvin Kamara and have it work. No, he's an outside guy. You're not going to be able to run outside because your offensive linemen aren't good enough. I guess that's what Kellen Moore thinks. We don't see a lot of outside zone with Kamara in the game. And we've only seen one or two screens, maybe one screen. It was effective. Of course, we never ran it again. I think we ran a screen with Devin Neal last week, and it was a huge gain. Is Kellen Moore really a bad coach, or is he just going through it right now? Is this the toughest roster he's had to tackle so far? Yes. Yes. When he was with the Cowboys, they had a good offensive line. They had good running backs. They had a decent quarterback. He had success. He gets to where the Chargers, their offensive line wasn't as good. He didn't have as much success. Offensive line wasn't as good. Running game wasn't as good. Quarterback was good, but doesn't matter who the quarterback is if your offensive line isn't good enough and your running game can't get going. Then he goes to the Eagles. He has a pretty decent quarterback. He has a really good offensive line, really good running back. Identity's easy there. You just run the ball, hit him with some RPOs, and the quarterback make the throws that he can make that he's good at, and boom, win a Super Bowl. Real easy. Genius? I don't know. Most of us Saints fans haven't been coaches in the National Football League. We don't know. We just play Madden. I played Madden years ago, or we watch a lot of football, armchair quarterback. Yeah, that's what we are. And if it seems obvious to us, maybe he knows something we don't know. Well, I think I know. I think I know, and I think you Saints fans are smart, and I think you understand this too. As bad as this team is, as at as many positions as we are, horribly bad. The offensive line has to improve. It's the only way this team's going to establish an identity. You got to get better up front. You got to have an offensive line that you can actually run the ball and pass protect. We can't do it. I mean, we've got a rookie at left tackle who's not a very good run blocker. You hope he develops. He started for Texas a bunch of years and probably never had to get very good at it. Just going up against inferior talent every now and then. You get up on the second level and just get your block. You'll be at no. Kelvin Banks is going to have to try really hard and work really hard to be a good run blocker. But he's a really good pass protector. So I think we're good at with Kelvin Banks at left tackle. I think we're good. Taliesin Fuanga on the right side. I think we'll be fine there too. The injury thing is really bugging me. I don't think we're going to see him play a game. And if he does play, he was limited in practice this week. If he does play, and he has played this year with injury, he didn't look as good. So you've got your questions there. Fuanga's a great run blocker. He's just a young guy, and with the injury, it doesn't look like he's pass protecting as well as he could. Maybe a guy like that who's going to have perennial injuries, maybe we need to kick him to guard. Maybe Fuanga is our future at right guard if he can't get over these injuries and show, because I know he's a good tackle. I know he's a good tackle. Being injured, it's just so maybe Fuanga comes back and we can see, the future there. If he plays injury free and he shows some talent, the same stuff he showed last year, then yeah, we're probably good at tackle. You don't want to go and draft another tackle high. I know you don't. But yeah, Fuanga's got to get over his injuries. Otherwise, I'm going to start to think he might be better just to kick inside at guard. But you definitely need better guards. Dylan Redunce and Cesar Ruiz are two players we have to upgrade from. And you're not probably not going to grab a guard in the first round, but if one of these tackles doesn't make it and they end up kicking inside, there you go. You drafted a guard in the first round. You're not supposed to. Cesar Ruiz was a first round pick at guard years ago. And we haven't addressed guard high since then. The highest we've drafted a guard since Cesar Ruiz is Nick Saldivari in the fourth round. And yeah, that's another bust at offensive line for this staff, for this front office. But I think we need to take another shot. I think we need to go and just get it. We've got 8 draft picks right now in the upcoming draft. It would not surprise me if half of them were spent on the offensive line. I'm serious. As many problems as we have, I believe the reason the Saints don't have an identity is because of the lack of talent on the offensive line. And A lot of Saints fans would say we've spent too much capital on the offensive line to go and just do it again, especially with the same talent evaluators that we've had in the front office. We're going to go and waste all these high picks on some more players because you think if we're going to spend high picks on offensive linemen, we're going to go ahead and draft Nick Saldiveri and Cesar Ruiz and Trevor Penning again. Well, we might draft Kelvin Banks, Eric McCoy, or Taliesin Fuanga again. So we've had some hits, okay? Kelvin Banks is a hit. Eric McCoy was a hit. And I think Fuanga, when healthy, is a hit. It's not like it's impossible for this front office. And I don't want to give Mickey Loomis credit at all. Okay, I'm going to leave Mickey Loomis out of it. I'm going to focus on Jeff Ireland and the scouting department, and then the coaching staff's uh, uh, connection. The I can blame Dennis Allen for all the personnel choices before Mickey Loomis because how does it work? If Mickey Loomis likes a guy and he wants a guy, the coach has to draft him no matter what. I don't think that's the way it should go. You're going to force me to draft someone that I don't want? I don't like that. And I certainly don't like a an owner coming down and saying, "Hey, I want this guy. I don't care, make it happen." I definitely don't want that. Okay, so Gail Benson has her place. Just be rich and stay out of it. Mickey Loomis, sure. Give him an office, a corner office. Give him the penthouse fucking office at the top of the, pardon my French, at the top of the tower. Okay, and just give him a title and just be hands off. You're still going to have Jeff Ireland. You're still going to have this scouting department. And everybody makes mistakes. I'm hoping this coaching staff combined with Jeff Ireland and our front office can make good decisions. We like the draft class from this past year, don't we? It's the same damn general manager, same person, okay? The same guy we want to get rid of. But this draft class was pretty decent. I'm hoping and praying, blessed be, that this front office and this coaching staff has a connection. We're going to draft talented people. Okay. We're going to have another class just like this last one, where we're going to have hits. We're going to actually have hits. So let's leave Mickey Loomis out of it. Okay. Let's forget about this notion of if you had the first round pick, you would blow it anyway because they would go and grab the wrong guy. It's possible, but we have been known to grab the right guy before. Okay. We make miss after miss after miss, but we hit a lot in the third and fourth rounds. So at least that's kind of a staple. The fourth round with Hayner, not so much. Saldiveri, not so much. But this last year, come on, man. Danny Stutzman. All of you love Danny Stutzman. All of you love Quincy Riley, especially compared to Isaac Yadam. So yeah, we can hit. We can hit in the third round. We can hit in the fourth round. And we can hit in the first round. Because, yeah, McCoy was a second rounder. That's a hit. Banks is a hit. Fuanga's probably going to be a hit. So let's get that out of the way. Let's imagine that they're going to put it all together and they can draft good players. You might be drafting 4 offensive linemen. Seriously. Seriously. You need a starting guard. You need 2 starting guards. You don't want to get one in the first round? Fine. Spend that second round pick on a guard. Then you got 2 fourth rounders and 2 fifth rounders. It's another spot to get another guard, at least an interior player, a center who can develop, be a better backup than Fortner. Maybe you hit on center in the third round. Ooh, wouldn't that piss y'all off? There's a kid in Oregon right now, uh, Iapani Lalulu. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. That dude is strong. That dude will never get out in space in a zone blocking scheme and be the man. Okay, he is so big, 320 pounds. He doesn't move like that, but he can get up on the second level. I just wouldn't do a lot of stretch plays with him and stuff like that. But man, you want to talk about building a wall? Nobody pushes that guy back. That is a strong center at Oregon. And the guy next to him at guard, Emmanuel Pregnon, that's a strong dude too. I watch Oregon play and the fronts just boom. Watch the Saints offensive line. Oh, when we're in shotgun, it's a nightmare. Watch where the ball's lined up, watch the snap, and watch where the offensive line ends up. I mean, 5 yards back. You naturally take a yard or two back. You get in pass pro set up, and then our guys get shoved 3 more yards back. I mean, within the quarterback grabbing the ball, taking a couple of steps, planting his foot, you've already got everybody in his face. It's embarrassing. I watch Oregon play, and those guys don't get pushed back 5 yards. Those guys don't get pushed back at all. And when they're running the ball, phew, they're doing the pushing. We need strength on this offensive line. Are we going to draft another tackle? You like seeing Awesome Richards start every game? No, you don't want to go and draft a first round tackle to be a backup tackle. You don't really want to draft a second round guy. It depends on how to draft balls. If Caleb Tiernan, the offensive tackle out of Northwestern, if he's still there in the second round, you might take him. Oh, he's a tackle. Well, somebody's going to play guard. I'm just here to tell you the identity of this team should be whatever the hell we want to do because we're so good at all of it. That's what the identity of this team should be. What was the identity of the Saints in the Drew Brees, Sean Payton era? That was the identity. You had a coach in Sean Payton and a quarterback in Drew Brees, and the marriage was perfect. Drew Brees could run whatever Sean Payton wanted to do. And whatever the team was around him on offense, we'll make it work. Because the quarterback was so good and he was so in tune and connected with the coach and with the plays and everything else. So that was the identity of the Saints. It's really hard to have that identity. You get that marriage, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and then you're good to go for a decade. You're at least competitive, no matter what the moving parts are around. Whatever Drew Brees had to deal with. The Saints were always at their best on offense when we had a running game, though. We were always at our best on offense when we ran the ball a lot because Drew Brees was so good. You had that covered. But you get that running game going and you have to keep that defense honest and you get them thinking, oh, they're going to run the ball again. But watch out because you have Drew Brees. Oh, yeah. That's where you can really beat up on a team. So that was the identity of the Saints. I mean, you can think of the years that Drew Brees and Sean Payton were here, and you can think of things. Why were we so good in 17, 18, 19, and 20? Because our defense got a lot better. Yeah, because we got Alvin Kamara at running back. We had Michael Thomas at wide receiver. We had players around Drew Brees that were really good. We could establish the run with Kamara and Ingram. Yeah, so that's why we were good then. Why were we good earlier on? Why did we win the Super Bowl? Come on, man. Reggie Bush, Pierre Thomas, Mike Bell. That's why we won the Super Bowl. Drew Brees. Yeah. But we had a running game. So the identity of the team was always Sean Payton, Drew Brees. But, you get a good defense. That Super Bowl defense forced a lot of turnovers. We scored a lot of defensive points with that team. So, yeah, it takes everything. If you want to get to the top and win the Super Bowl, it's going to take a quarterback coach combo with a great running game and good depth and a defense that's making things happen. It takes all of it. So, what was the identity of the Saints? We're always going to say it: Sean Payton, Drew Brees. But there was 15 years, and there were some years where it was 7 and 9, and you're Sean Payton, Drew Brees. There's your identity, but you needed more. 7 and 9, 3 years in a row because you have Rob Ryan as your defensive coach, and we're setting all-time records in futility on defense. That's why you went 7 and 9. So the identity of the team, Sean Payton, Drew Brees, but you need everything else to make it work. This team can't even start at a position. We can't even start. The marriage of Kellen Moore and Tyler Shuck, well, maybe that develops into something, but you got to give them a team first. That's my video, guys. The identity of this team cannot even be conjured up in your imagination, apparently, even if you're a genius offensive coordinator, without an offensive line. And I know you don't want to do it, but I'm telling you, it's the best thing for this team. We need to go and spend big money on a starting guard next year. The best guard in free agency, the Saints need to outbid everybody and go and get him. If he fits on this team, you can get a mediocre guard to come in here like Dylan Redunz and be better than Trevor Penning. Okay. You could probably go get an average guy to come in here and to compete with Cesar Ruiz. Okay. That's what I'm saying. You go and get a good guy. Go and get someone in the second or third round that's going to come in here and start. You go get a free agent, big money guy that's going to start. And then you think about backup center and backup tackle later on in the draft because you need another tackle on this team. You do. Austin Richards ain't it. Maybe you re-sign Landon Young. Maybe you keep Dylan Redunz around. You only need to get one starting guard and maybe the other one, Ruiz or Redunz, whichever one, could be the weak link, but we'll still be okay because you at least got one more really good piece. Yeah, this team will not have an identity until we have an offensive line first. And yeah, the defense needs a lot of help too. Maybe this team's identity becomes Brandon Staley's defense. I highly doubt it, but you need a lot of pieces before you get that defense to be exactly what Brandon Staley has in mind. So it's a lot of things to think about. We need an edge rusher. I think we need more cornerbacks. We definitely need defensive linemen who can stop the run, edge rushers that can rush the passer, and then, yeah, depth at cornerback. We need a lot of stuff on defense. I'm all about the identity on offense, and I'm all about you got to fix the offensive line. You have a better offensive line, then you can do more things. I think Kellen Moore runs more quarterback under center, play action, that kind of stuff with a better offensive line. So it's not my apology for Kellen Moore. I think that he's been our coach long enough with this team and this roster to have figured something out. Because, look, I think Nick Underhill was right. The play action under center is working. So why don't you do it more? That's a good question. More. Why don't you do it more? When he said protection issues, that told me everything I needed to know. This coach doesn't give you a straight up answer, but I think that one's about as straight up as you can get. When he was hired, he said, "I'm so glad this team likes to spend high resources on the trenches because that's where you build from the inside out." And he went and got an offensive tackle with his first round pick. And yeah, he's still building. And that's what we need to do. We need to build the trenches up. That's my video, guys. You let me know what you think. I'm not going to predict an identity for this team. I would love for it to be the Kellen Moore, Tyler Shuck show. Okay. But it doesn't matter if it's Tyler Shuck or Archie Manning. If you have a bad offensive line, it's going to be hard to see what you got. It's going to be hard to establish an identity if you can't even block up front. I'm Joe. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10 for more videos about the Saints. Happy holidays, everybody. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Who dat?